Now for a review of what's making the headlines in the papers this morning, let's bring in Arise analyst Constance Ikwoku. Good morning, Dr. Constance.
Good morning to you, Yolanda. Good to see you today.
Likewise, welcome back.
Thank you very much. Great to be back. And Charles, good morning to you.
Welcome back, Dr. Constance. Good to see you again.
Good to see you too. To get the papers with us today, we have Chuks Akunna. He is the Executive Director of Authority newspaper. Hello there and welcome to the program. We'll begin as usual with this day newspaper. There, Tinubu leads delegation to burial of Buhari to receive remains at Katsina airport today. And the second story, there we also have Mamandara family members, how former president spent his last hours. There's been coverage across the Nigerian media of former President Muhammadu Buhari's passing. President Bola Tinubu will be in Katsina today for the funeral. 25 FEC members will attend. A FEC session has been rescheduled in his honor. Today was declared public holiday, also to honor him. President Tinubu receiving his remains is auspicious, especially for Buhari's family members. These two men, the late president and current president, were political allies and associates and shared a political journey which, though not too long in terms of the number of years, nevertheless changed the course of history, talking about ANPP, CPC, AD, then APC. It was an impactful collaboration. You may not like the flavor of that or direction of that impact, but it's there for all to see, Chuks.
Exactly, well said. Like you spoke about former late President Buhari's political trajectory from APP, ANPP, CPC, and then before he finally bettered on the APC, where current President Bola Ahmed Tinubu played a very key role, even though some might dispute that, and some followers, some supporters of President Buhari have lately, countered the narrative that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was very instrumental to Buhari's emergence as president. But it's easy to say that because drawing from the 3 times Buhari had contested elections, he contested and lost, but lost until he formed a merger, a coalition with President Tinubu, whom many describe as a political master stroker. And it's the second time we'll be burying an elected head of state, from the same Katsina state. The first was in 2010 when President Goodluck Jonathan led delegation of government, then as his capacity as acting president to vice president to receive, acting president to actually receive the body of former President Umaru Musa Yar'Adua, who died in Saudi Arabia, also on for health reasons. It's a shame that our former presidents keep going abroad for medical attention when we easily could have fixed our medical facilities here in Nigeria.
All right, we're still getting more information about what transpired in that second story. Family members, including Buhari's nephew and very close confidant, Mamandara, shared some information saying that apparently the late president was supposed to be discharged this week. Then his condition suddenly changed before he passed. We're also told that former military president Abdulsalami Abubakar was in the same hospital and had been discharged and hoping to see him, and then this happened. Let's quickly see another angle of that coverage from Guardian newspaper, if we can pull that up. There we have Buhari gets state funeral as critics fought National Assembly's week-long tribute. Questions have been raised as to whether the National Assembly had to take off a whole week to honor him. They said it's to allow the members to have full participation in the burial activities. Chuks, your thought quickly.
Yeah, it's not every day that you get to see a former president die, in the way President Muhammadu Buhari died. And whether you agree or not, the former president, late President Muhammadu Buhari was a very popular politician, particularly from a particular section of the country, the north. He was to several a political messiah. So if they wish to actually take a whole week to honor him, it's within their rights. And because like I said, it's not every day that we get to see a former president, pass on the way Buhari did.
All right, moving on to Leadership newspaper, we're still looking into now they're already looking into the future of his party. So here we have the headline, Succession Battle Begins. The contenders are listed as VP Kashim Shettima, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, Alhaji Rabiu Kwankwanso, Malam Nasir Al-Rufai, and Alhaji Omar Al-Makura. None of these names can match the late president's court-like following, his towering figure and appeal, particularly among the Talakawas in the north. So what happens to the CPC, the political family he built? Every of these individuals mentioned are different and can only be themselves, Charles.
Come to think of it, Buhari did emerge as the leader of northern Nigeria, more so because he emerged as president of Nigeria. So it was perfectly normal that the politicians from the north would look up to him as some sort of leader. As far as the other contenders are concerned, well, it depends on how far they can rise in the political equation. Kashim Shettima is serving as vice president currently. We also have Atiku Abubakar, who served as vice president and has been vying for the position of president ever since he left office as vice president. And you have a whole lot of others. But then the issue of leadership of northern Nigeria can also be very nebulous. I mean, before we had a former president, Shehu Shagari, who died in 2018. He was there, but of course he lived a very quiet life, was not active in politics. And if Umar Musa Yar'Adua had actually survived and served out his term as president of Nigeria, would we be having this discussion?
Yeah,
I wonder.
Definitely. It would have been a different story. Anyway, the Guardian newspaper, a notable special report on that front page that details consumption trends. Pay TV struggles as more Nigerians opt for mobile streaming services. Between March 2023 and March 2025, MultiChoice lost 1.4 million subscribers in Nigeria alone. This represents 77% of the 1.8 million total subscriber drop across the entire return on ad spend segment. Netflix and Showmax are reported to dominate the subscription video on demand market in Nigeria. As of December 2024, Netflix had around 150,815 subscribers in Nigeria, and Showmax 147,000 subscribers as of December 2023. Yolanda, this indicates a gradual shift in the industry and how people want to consume TV, but also costs are impacting household decisions. DSTV, for instance, has been steadily rising, and a lot of people are not getting with that.
That's right. I think the decline in pay TV subscriptions is something that is to be expected because the times are truly changing. And I say that in a very broad way. First of all, people are now, working a lot more than they did in the past, working longer hours. And so now it almost seems like a waste of money for a household to pay for DSTV if nobody is going to be home to watch. So then you are forced into streaming services that you can watch on your mobile phone. I think at one time, pay TV subscriptions also tried to, offer mobile alternatives, but I don't know if that really caught on. But the truth is, times are changing. People are more mobile, so it's easier to watch and it saves money, just as you said.
DSTV, they are all calling people now and then, asking them to, I get calls. Aren't you renewing for this month?
They're fighting for their businesses.
Well, they're getting more and more expensive. I think GoTV offers a cheaper alternative. And, well, let's just say the streaming services are coming to the rescue because the higher you increase your costs, then, of course, the more customers you lose. So I think they'll have to rethink their business strategy.
All right, let's move on to the Punch newspaper. Another high-profile burial, soldiers bar traditionalists from Awujale's Muslim funeral. Let's go to the Vanguard that has the same story. More tributes as Awujale is buried in Ijebu Ode. The traditionalists were believed to be members of the Oshobo cult. Their presence caused some apprehension. People around began shouting and soldiers took control of the situation. The late Awujale of Ijebu land, Oba Sikiru Adetona, was a traditional ruler. Traditionalists had always argued that royal fathers must be buried according to established tradition. Choose. Well, that constant friction we see between traditional African spirituality and Abrahamic religions, Islam and Christianity. Oba Adetona, reigned for 65 years. May his soul rest in peace. But any comments on this?
Yes. But at least publicly he was a Muslim, and if a man desire to be buried, according to certain religious, with certain religious rights, it should. The least we should do is to honor that, respect that, and I wonder why traditionalists want to hover around such an event and want to cause mayhem. But it's good that law enforcement officers, security agencies were able to take charge. And it wouldn't be good for somebody who reigned that long, for his burial to be marred by insecurity. But for the death of President Muhammadu Buhari, the passing of Oba Sikiru Adetona would have been a very, very major, a very big event.
Yeah, correct.
Because I think he's the traditional ruler in Nigeria who has the title, the Grand Commander of the Order of Niger, that's the second highest title in the land, and so deserving so deservedly for such a personality.
Right, Daily Independent this morning, 7 years after low enrollment cripples Nigeria's micro-pension plan. The micro-pension plan, renamed Personal Pension Plan, was launched under late President Muhammadu Buhari's government to bring the self-employed professionals, artisans, among others, into the pension net. The total number of subscriptions stands at 126,941 out of over 54 million in the informal sector. Well, not sure if using the word cripple to describe the slow takeoff of this great initiative is accurate or appropriate. Nigeria has a huge informal sector where people have planned their retirement in different ways for centuries, so it will take time. It will also require a lot of advocacy, information dissemination, and enlightening this kind of workers to get them, or workforce to get them into a formal pension plan. Anybody can jump in here, but it's a very good initiative.
It's just that Nigerians have learned to distrust the pension scheme over the years, whether it is run by government, whether it is run by the private pension organizations. Still, the issue of pensions, and I think most of the time I actually point to the fact that, a poor pension system is the reason why corruption thrives, because people seem to want to actually feather their nests ahead so that they don't have to depend on a pension that is never constant, never consistent, and very epileptic. It's very pathetic seeing, many of these pensioners having to queue up to do verifications over and over again. And so when it comes to the issue of pensions, I think that word itself is actually very frightening and connotes a lot of uncertainty when you don't have the ability to work for yourself again.
Also, can I just quickly add in there that I don't think entrepreneurs, for the most part, would be interested in such a scheme, no matter how good it looks, because there's also the issue of how much they are earning, how much they are making. Do people still want to make those contributions? I mean, you have employees who earn higher who are still complaining. So if you have these micro schemes, from what I understand, it will be much more difficult to make a commitment.
Well, let's see how that initiative, or how far it goes. But a lot of people seem to think that it is, a wonderful one. Okay, New Telegraph caught bars from inaugurating new Rivers Services Commission, and world's oldest president Biya to seek a term. Rivers State Sole Administrator, facing court challenges on his decisions. No surprises there at all. But, next door in Cameroon, a 92-year-old Paul Biya wants to remain in office amidst speculations about his state of health. life president. You know, his reign has crippled that country. Any quick comments here before we head to the international papers? And
should Paul Biya win, in the very likely event he wins, because very likely,
of course,
that would make him 99 years as president. You know, he'll be 99 by the end of his tenure.
Yeah.
It's a very sad one. Cameroon has had only 2 presidents since 1960, when they gained in 1960. Amadou Ahidjo became president in 1960 and stepped down in 1982. And since 1982, you know, they've had just 1 president. You know, it's very sad for a country, for a neighboring country, and for Africa. He holds the unenviable title of being the world's oldest president, and for a country of 29 or so million persons, you know, they seem not to have anybody, you know, fit enough to replace him.
Nearing 43 years in power.
Exactly.
Okay, quickly, let's take a Daily Times. Effect postpones farewell tribute to Buhari's burial in Daura. And a couple of other top stories there. Telecom users lament poor service despite 1 billion Naira network upgrade. Also quickly, Daily Sun this morning. All eyes on Daura as Buhari goes home, still on the former president. Obi's birthday, Abia obedience to stage 1 million man march. Then to the international headlines, Daily Graphic. Employment measures have not worked, according to report, talking about government intervention to reduce unemployment since 2015 in Ghana. They were often developed without input of the intended beneficiaries. Yolanda, if you can weigh on this very quickly. Sometimes, or most times, government programs are set up without the input, you know, or ideas of the local communities, and it just affects the way that program runs, whether it's successful or not.
I don't really have a comment on this, but I will say that employment measures have caused so many issues across different African nations. We're currently facing a similar thing in Nigeria, where we are having, you know, different initiatives coming up here and there, but seemingly breaking down along the way. So I think South Africa at the moment has a lot of issue at hand.
This is Ghana, yeah.
Oh, this is Ghana. Oh, yeah. I apologize for that. I wasn't quite aware. I thought this was the South African
But it's a global problem.
Yes, it is, absolutely.
Okay,
Thank
a
you.
quick dash to the other headlines. The Citizen newspaper. Why no reshuffle cereal? Experts are blaming President Cyril Ramaphosa for not reshuffling his cabinet. Where after, you know, the position of the DA, deputy minister, is unfilled, like, you know, the deputy minister was fired. The Guardian newspaper, Trump issues warning to Putin as he does deal with NATO to arm Kyiv. To metro.co.uk, this story has taken the British papers by storm. Aristocrat and rapist guilty of killing a baby. You know, it's a tragic story of how parents have mismanaged their responsibility of taking care of their baby. And then finally to Daily Mirror, MasterChef scandal report, sacked Greg, I won't be the last. Any brief comment on any of those stories? Very, very brief, 20 seconds before we wrap it up.
Well, I think I just want to pick up on the Trump issue. This is such a big story at the moment because it reflects how complex politics are. Charles and I were laughing earlier because of what happened with the Chelsea Cup and how Trump was, you know, asserting himself on that stage. And I think this is also similar to what he's doing, asserting his power in different ways by saying, look, he was with Russia clearly before, and now all of a sudden he is fighting for weapons for Ukraine. So. It's going to be a very interesting time ahead.
Indeed, Yolanda. Chuks Akunna, Executive Director of Authority newspaper. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
And Dr. Constance, glad to have you back in the driving seat for the newspaper review.
Enjoy Abuja.
All right. So that's all we have time for here on Daybreak. I'm Charles Eruka. It's goodbye from me.
And I'm Yolanda Robert. Please do keep it here on Arise News. The morning show is next. Goodbye.